Hello and welcome to Noobs R Us GT3 Rookie Series Season 6. This is Race 2 at Paul Ricard. I am your host, Jeremy Cubbage. I'm joined in the booth temporarily by two podium drivers from last week. Now, while their podiums weren't proper podium finishes, they did get these because of drivers that have moved. So right now we have Douglas Furnish, who came in first last week, second and fourth overall. Douglas, how are you feeling? You're first in points right now, tied with Roderick Rudd. Are you worried about moving up to the pro split, or how are you feeling about today's race?
I'm feeling good. Actually, I'm looking forward to hopefully having another fast night and getting that promotion. When I signed up, I did it based on the numbers in SimGrid, and gotten boosted based on last week's rating from the seasoned rookie to intermediate. So I feel like sandbagging it a little bit. So yeah, looking forward to the green machines feeling fast.
Good. Well, we're happy to have you back. It is good to see you finishing in the top of the AM split, but yeah, we're expecting you to move up pretty quickly too. With that said, I also have Ryan Chanley in with me. He's out doing his last lap during practice, I'm sure. Ryan, you're in third, which is technically second as far as points go. You're tied with Glenn Jacobs. Overall finishes last week is fifth and second based on the drivers that have moved. Ryan, how are you feeling about this week at Paul Ricard?
Pretty good so far with the car. It's been quite the experience, just trying to get it down, trying to keep the understeer under control. But otherwise, it's been a fun track. Just kind of surprised them up here in the points, really.
Well, we're happy to have you here. Happy to see you again. You were here last season too, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was
right.
my first season with you guys.
Well, hopefully we see you move up to the Pro-Am as well, and you're racing with the faster boys in that server by the end of the series.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Any concerns for you tonight with your company drivers? Glenn Jacobs coming in first as far as last week going. Are you worried about him today?
He's definitely I think last race he was on my case, so I definitely just get to try to keep looking forward and not worry too much about him. Just get those laps done and finish consistently.
Good. Well, I'm not gonna keep you too much longer. You can jump out of here. I can move you whatever you like, so you can get to your qualifying. I see we've already moved over to qualifying anyway. So good luck tonight.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
And that will conclude our pre-race interviews. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. Drivers have jumped out on track. They're beginning their out laps. You can see we're currently on board with Wes Jones, one of the faster drivers in the AM split. He's been with us for 3 seasons, I believe, and started out near the back and has moved his way up towards the front. So right now, Wes Jones is currently 9th in standings. Last week wasn't great for him. He finished 8th and then 14th, so he's mid-pack, or rather upper pack, top 10. Looking forward to seeing how he does. Also on board with Garrick Bennett as he's driving around. Garrick Bennett, one of the new drivers we haven't seen around before, and it looks like he is a proper rookie here. Let me see. I'm trying to find his name. Garrick Bennett. There it is. He is in 20th place, just above Sean Bramer in 21st. So definitely still an AM. Looking forward to seeing him improve as well. Jake Wells, hello. How are you? Welcome to the stream. It looks like we got an ad in progress, so I'm sorry if you guys have been seeing that, but at least it's going on while they're finishing the outlap. I miss you too, Jake. I miss you too. And I'm sorry if you've typed anything out to me in your Discord channel. I have all of the sim racing channels in one place and then muted right now. So, Will Figgins in chat with the 9-month sub. Just getting that prime sub, so I'm talking about. So we've got a bunch of information on the screen for you guys. We've got the track map, of course, has the track names on it. I know it's hard to read the the corner names rather. I know it's hard to read those. I'll still point it out. The car that we're watching will be highlighted in white, and all the rest of the cars will be yellow on there. And then in the top of the screen, you've got all of the drivers and then the relative drivers around them. The main one in the middle is going to be the driver we're currently watching. Above that's going to be the positions changed, his current position and his car number, and then lap times. Right now you can see Colin Westerhoff has not done a lap time. He hasn't completed a lap yet. So that's kind of what we're watching there. I'm going to put some extra information on screen for you guys. This is going to be the lap time spread for our qualifiers. That on screen as well. Lap time spread. So this right here, this little box is going to show kind of the distance between cars. And you can kind of gauge that based on the car size there too. So. Great content over there. For the Noobs R Us account. You don't need to fund our account. You know that. But if you're taking it from Prime, I'm okay with that. At least it's not coming out of your own pocket. So, like I said, we got a lot of drivers out on track right now. Looks like the AM split right now has 33 drivers, which is awesome. 33 drivers. We did have some people sign out from today's race. We should see more next week, unless, of course, people sign out from next week. But drivers are entitled to sign out from as many races as they want. They just can't ditch the race. If they ditch the race and don't sign out, then they'll be disqualified. So yeah, we got quite a few in the AM split. We did move 3 from AM to Pro last week. And I'm curious how the Pro-Am server's looking. Right now, we're really full. But good thing this track is really long. So we have some drivers, looks like about to finish their laps. We'll see how they do. Wes Jones has just finished his. Let's disable the auto cam so we can watch what we'd like to watch here. Wes Jones with a 156.987. It looks like Mike Cook will be coming up behind him, I believe. We'll see what happens. I don't know who's where on the track right now, so kind of all over the place. Jake, how's your livery doing? You need an upgrade yet? People liking it, or did you move over to Le Mans Ultimate? All right, so we got some more times on the board right now. Eric Metcalf with a 156.192, nearly in the 155s. What a freaking rapid time. Roderick Rudd currently in second place overall for the AMs, coming in third and dropping, as you see, with a 157.540. So he's looking to improve his time for sure to get back in that podium position. Wes Jones in third still. Colin Westerhoff has now moved up in that second place position, quickly overtaken by Larry Foster, as we're talking about. Larry was talking about how fast this Lexus is down the straight, nearly 300 kilometers an hour down the straight. So it's wild. Doesn't need updating. Perfect. Good to hear it. Larry Foster, a newcomer to the series, joined us this series and is showing his strength immediately. I have no idea how many series he's been in, how many races he's partaken in. Looks like as far as sim grid goes, he's fairly new, so we'll see how he does in the rest of the series, if he moves up or not. Like there's a possibility of it. As we've been talking, lots of drivers have put down times. Now we're down to, 19 drivers that have done times. The slowest right now is a 2-minute flat. So about a 5-second gap between first and 19th right now. Luis Figueroa in 19th. Sean Bramer in 18th as he comes around turn 8. It's a fast flying corner. Love that corner. I like to cut people off in that, especially if we're going 5 wide, and then drift because I lost control. All right, since we've been talking, a driver has taken over that first place position. That's Russell Harrell with a 154.942, and then Adam Turai. I'm going to get your name wrong the entire series. Adam Turai with a 155.277. Now, Adam had done great last week, and you can see, if you look at that on the right-hand side of the screen, how close he is to Harrell in first, and that gap that there is between first, second, and then third. So he definitely has the ability and pace to be up in the top 1 or 2, but he had some disconnection issues last week, and he couldn't be justified to move. So he'll likely, if he can stay connected, he'll likely be moved to the Pro-Am split. Now, a lot of drivers have been making improvements on their times, and as we're saying that, we got Drew Freiberger up on their time as he's coming around the front straight right now. 1.5 seconds up, moves from 11th to 4th with a 155.742. What an awesome time. You can see now that gap between those top 3 drivers is now closing, and then 4th is trying to inch their way in there. So we may have a closer race than we originally thought we were going to have. Other drivers are up on their time. Chan, but he's invalid. Looks like Garrick Bennett is up on their time with a 158.4. He's up 1.2 seconds as he's coming down the back straight now into turn 8. flying through that corner. He's got a lot more track he can use there, but he's not really lost any time. We'll see how he does as he continues through the end of this. He's going a little bit wide, not narrow enough. He's going to end up losing time because of that, down about a tenth because of that. Gaining it back into the entry of turn 10. Losing it on the way out. A little bit too early on the gas is going to cause him a little bit time loss there. He's still up a whole second though, so a second up on this time will move him up. It looks like maybe 3 or 4 positions. So we'll see what happens with Garrick Bennett as he comes around the final corner now. Down the front straight. And up into 12th place for Garrick Bennett with a 157.127. He's going to be fighting for that top 10 position. Larry Foster, he's coming around penultimate corner and into the final corner now. Lost all of his time, so he's not going to make any improvement. He's just going to have to try and work on it for next. He was nearly up nearly half a second, but has lost it. That's unfortunate for him. While we've been talking, Harral has continued to put down fast laps, or at least has attempted to put down another fast lap. Goes invalid right there, so he's not going to be up too much and is backing off because of the car ahead of him. So good to see that they have a little bit of courtesy there. Roderick Rudd up 0.8 on their time as he's in through the first sector, coming out of the first sector into the second now. Down the back straight. A lot of time he can still gain through the rest of this lap. BMW is going to be super rapid down that back straight. Cars that are going to have issues with tonight's race, I believe, are going to be the Porsches, and that's kind of evident based on P21 and P24 both being the Porsches for tonight's race. But then again, I say that Harral's up in first in a Porsche, so who knows? The Porsches are just so slow. I guess it's just those corners that they're great at. Rudd staying valid, 0.7 seconds up on his time. Comes into the third sector of the track now. Through turn 9 into turn 10. Losing a little bit of time in that little sector of the track. Trying to gain it as he comes out of turn 10. Up 0.7, up almost 0.8 now. Into the braking zone of turn 12. Right into the final corner, up almost a whole second now. Nice and easy on the gas. Nearly a second up on his time. That's going to move him from 17th up into 10th. Top 10 for Roderick Rudd. Roderick Rudd is currently in second as far as points goes, so he's definitely going to be fighting for that top 3 position, but he's got a lot of work to do to get back up there. The 156, he's down nearly a second and a half from that P1 position. Other drivers making major improvements on their times. Look at a new driver, Corey Schreiber, up 0.7 right now. He's the last place that has done a valid lap, but he is up 0.7 on his time. Unfortunately, that's not enough time to gain a position, so we'll see if he's able to continue to improve that through the rest of the lap as it comes down the back straight. Down to about 8.5 minutes of qualifying left. So we'll see how the rest of this goes. There is 20 minutes of qualifying. That is a good question, Jake. I know you did a stream on that on AC Evo, but you did that the day it released, so my guess on first impressions weren't very good. But after it's been out for a little bit, what are your thoughts? So Schreiber still going to try and make an improvement. It's not going to be enough for him to gain a position as he comes through third sector of the track. Around Village into Latour. Gaining a little bit of time into the final corner. Up a whole second on his time. Second and a half almost. So that's where he's gaining his time, is that last corner. Almost 2 seconds up. He might move up into 27th place. Not going to do it, but he's right on the edge. You can see that 201.985. Moving way up to the top here. We got Tyler Trimble. Now, he started in the Pro Split, but that's because the AM Split was full. He's moved down into the AM Split where he believes he belongs. Looks like he's doing pretty good, though. He's in the top 6. Just made a major improvement on his time, moving from 10th to 6th. So, great job. Yeah, we're excited to see how AC Evo goes and eventually move Noobs R Us over to it, depending on how good the the corrected competitive side is, I guess you could say. If we can put restrictions on the mods that people can bring in. Mike Cook up 6 tenths on his time, moving up into 4th place. They just these drivers keep moving up into 4th and pushing each other down. So Woolams has moved into that 2nd place position and has just pulled off the side of the road there. Paraj, or Turai, because I keep saying his name wrong, I'm sorry, is in 3rd and holding it very well. 4th place is Mike Cook, and he's right on the heels, though. Bye, Jake. Thank you for stopping by. We love you. Mike Cook still trying to gain that time. He's down a little bit. We'll see how he does for the rest of the lap. While we've been discussing that, it looks like Douglas Furnish, who we just chatted with a little bit ago, our points leader right now, tied with Roger Rudd, is up 2 tenths on his time. 2 tenths is not going to be enough to really move him up a position. 3 tenths is, though, as he's gaining extra time, almost 4 tenths. Does have the ability to move up in that top 3 position. I would like to see him do it. Mr. Furnish, longtime driver with Noobs R Us, took a season off, take a break, which is completely understandable. Nearly half a second up at this point. A half a second could move him up into 2nd place. Losing a little bit of time through those last couple corners. Into the final corner now. Still a half a second. Losing a little time down the back straight from 5th up into 3rd for Douglas Furnish. Last 5 minutes of qualifying, he still has some more time to qualify. He's got a BMW ahead of him off the racing line. It looks like he's giving that position up. Furnish is going to try and improve his time again, try and get up into that those top 2 positions. He might have it in him to do it. We're at a point now where nearly nobody is making major improvements on their time. We're just talking about tenths of a second here. Haral is still making improvements. Right now up a 10th. Adam Turai up a 10th. Woolams is just going to call it quits and go to the pits. Furnish down a little bit on his time. Metcalf up a couple hundredths. Now, while we're talking, Christopher Chan was making improvement. It looks like he's losing it as we go. I'm just making up a name. Thank you. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. It's Subi. Subi in chat. Welcome, Subi, another one of our new drivers to our series. Happy to see this community continue to grow. It's getting wild. We had nearly 70 drivers sign up for the series. So it's been awesome seeing the splits and seeing how we're splitting our pro split as well, too, to kind of differentiate from our more alien drivers. Trimble up 5 tenths on their time. 5 tenths is enough to move them up into the top 3 or 4. See what happens as he comes down the front straight, losing a little bit of time, only up 3 tenths now. It still is enough to move him up from 8th into 6th. A lot of the drivers have gone to the pits now. Last 3 minutes of qualifying. A lot of these drivers in the back, however, are still fighting to improve their times. Glenn Jacobs up 5 tenths on his time and improving through that first sector into the second. Oh, hi, Mike. I didn't even notice you typing. Hi, Mike. Glenn's still improving on their time. Garrick Bennett improving on theirs as well. As he goes down the back straight. We got drivers way in the back, have not yet put down times. Nicholas Dwyer. Looks like he's up 4 tenths on his time, but he hasn't put down a valid lap, so still has some time to do. I don't know what his valid lap time is going to be. Matter of fact, let's take a look. He's coming down the back straight, or the front straight now. He crosses the finish line and moves all the way up into 10th place for Dwyer. Got that done in the last 3 minutes. Dubois, hello Dubois. Don't think Sean is used to having 3D printed wheel yet. I thought he had a proper wheel now. And trade smokes. Thank you for the 7-month sub, Mike. We appreciate it. Mike's been here since the beginning of Noobs R Us, more or less. We're happy to have Mike here. Even if he does get on people's nerves. Wink, wink. Wes Jones up 7 tenths on their time. Right now, currently at 56.5. 7/10 is enough to move up into the top 10 easily. He's coming out of the out of turn 10 into village. Only up 5/10 now. Lost a lot of time. Only driver on track right now with a major improvement. 2 rides up 2/10 on theirs, but he's in second and no real chance to move up with 2/10. Jones up 4/10 down the front straight. 3/10 now. Still enough to move him up into 12th position. Glubbins, hello. Thank you for the follow. We hit our follower goal of 250. I didn't even know we had a goal, but now we got to raise that goal, don't we? That's awesome. Who'd have thought? I didn't think. Did you think about that? I didn't think about that. Up to 500 it goes. Yes, sir. I mean, we've already got, what, almost 700 people in the Discord. We just ask everybody to follow. There we go. We got it. Glenn Jacobs still making improvements on their time. 19th place currently. Going really wide through turn 10. Or I'm sorry, turn 8. Losing a lot of time, but he's trying to gain it back as he goes into turn 9. We need 7 more subs. What, do we have a sub goal too? See, I don't look at these because it's not really that important to me. What's important to me is just getting these guys' names out, getting them on the screen. So I don't look at the amount of viewers we have. I don't want to know any of that information. So, all right, we'll make these changes. Well, if you remind me, or if you want to do it next time you log in, we'll make those changes for our goals. Glenn coming through the final corner, up 3/10, but losing time down the straight. Gonna try to make an improvement from 19th place up into 18th. 1 position. That's better than none. Mr. Furnish still trying to make improvements. We're in the last 14 seconds, so these drivers are going to have to finish their laps. Looks like P2, that is 2 Rye, will be able to start another lap. P6, Trimble, will be able to start another lap. So they're going to finish their laps. P19 currently, that is not P19. Yes, there we go. Ryan Chanley. He's just going to come across the line with dignity. Down 5/10, so he's not actually making improvement, but he's just going to finish out this lap. There we go. Glenn Jacobs up on their time. Still making improvements, and I feel like he's doing great in that first sector, and he's braking just a little bit too late into turn 8, which is causing him to lose all the time that he's gained. Clubbins cheering for Russell. Russell up in first right now. I don't know how long he'll be in the AM split with that time that he's done. 154.1. That is nearly a whole second faster than second place, which is Adam Turai, and we were considering moving Turai last week. So Jacobs coming through turn 9, still up that 6/10. He must have been listening to the stream, gaining a little bit extra time through these next couple corners. Losing it as he goes through turn 10. Teetering between 4/10 and 5/10 now, up on his time. He goes through turn 11 into turn 12. Penultimate corner, up a little bit extra. Got to try not to lose his time as he comes out of this next corner. He hit that curb. Not enough to lose time. He's actually gaining time down this from 18th up into 11th for Glenn Jacobs. That's what I'm talking about. What a jump. What a way to get over that line there. We got a couple drivers still on track, but they're all invalid. Moving on to the session start. While we're doing that, why don't we all take a quick break, go get yourselves some water or beer or whatever you want. I'm going to do a quick ad. All right. While that ad's going, those of you that have your subs, hello. How are you? It's just us now, isn't it? Actually, I got a soda, Mike. I was thinking about grabbing a beer, but last week I had a beer and then my throat was really rough at the end of the race because I didn't properly hydrate. I could just grab an energy drink and put it in a really big water bottle, but I'll leave that to the other series. What's water, he says. Still waiting for some drivers, so it's going to be a little while before we can actually see see everything here. We still got another minute on this ad. I don't like doing ads, so thank you all for being here. Thank you for your subs. We're going to turn off buying stuff. Do a quick hello. Okay, I can't do a quick hello. Session starts in a minute 30, so that's what the issue is. For some reason, I'm not able to see these drivers. Why can I not see them? There we go. We can see the drivers now. So they're going to be jumping out on track, and as I do that, I will run down the drivers' names as we go. We'll start up here in about 40 seconds or so. Werter. Werter. Water. It's wa. Good luck, Mike. Hope you race well tonight. Depends where you come from, he says. Follower goals starting 250 to 300, so I only need 50 more. Thank you, Will. All right, everybody, welcome back. We have our drivers out on track. They're about to start driving out now. I'm going to quickly run down the list of drivers. I will not be running camera on this because I can't do both at the same time. But we'll just go down the list. In first place, we got Russell Harrell. In second is Adam Turai. Third, Mike Cook. Let's see if I can get a better view on this here. Helicam? Not really. Not really, huh? Fourth, Jake Willems. Fifth, Douglas Furnish. He's looking forward to moving up to the pro split. Sixth, Tyler Trimble. Seventh, Drew Freiberger. Eighth, Eric Metcalf. Ninth, Larry Foster. 10th, rounding out your top 10, Nicholas Dwyer. 11th, Len Jacobs in the Wreck-It Race team. Ferrari. 12th, Colin Westerhall. 13th, Wes Jones. 14th, Roger Rudd. 15th, Christopher Chan. 16th, R.L. Brown. Nobody knows what his real name is. I think it's just R.L. sounds for real. Who knows? Might just be R.L. 17th, Garrick Bennett. 18th, Jeremy Hayes. 19th, Ryan Chanley. 20th, Rob Stewart. 21st, another driver we'll never know their first name, C.W. Wells. 22nd, Miguel Cicero. I don't know if I'm saying that right. 23rd, Sean Bramer. 24th, Ethan Grau. 25th, Phil Dixon. 26th, Bobby Harrell. 27th, Ian Guzoni. I can't say that one right to save my life. 28th, Luis Figueroa Sr. 29th, Alex Londar. That's a new driver. I have not seen them yet. 30th, Andres Centeno. Another new driver I have not seen. 31st, Ramon Sanchez. I believe I've seen Ramon at least once. And 32nd is Corey Schreiber. You're seeing Jeremy Knorr down there. I don't actually see Jeremy Knorr in game. So we're going to see a driver at the bottom, unfortunately, without a start tonight. So Will's gonna shout himself out using the in-game chat, or the in-game chat, the Noobs R Us chat. Will, are you racing tonight? If you are, how are you typing? Should be getting Will to join me in the booth if he hasn't been racing, unless he's been at work. Then, in which case, I understand. You're not. Feel free to join me in the booth if you'd like to. Drivers are warming up their tires as they go down the back straight now. They're going to be going side by side here shortly. At which point they should be ceasing the weaving. They can continue to drag their brakes out if they would like to do so. New drivers out in front, new drivers in the back. A lot of drivers we've seen in the middle. So Turai for the win. Mike over here probably doing his outlap while typing as well. Drivers are starting to go side by side now. Hoping not to see any spinning as they go into turn 1. Last week they did pretty good. We'll see how they do this week. This is a completely different ball game, different track. Lots of fast straights coupled with really fast turns. So we'll see what happens. Music's going to go off. We're going to start the race up. The drivers come through the final sector of the track, in through the penultimate corner. Might go to Helicam for the beginning of this race. Good luck, everybody. So we're going to see Haral lead us off. Haral is a brand new driver to our series, I believe. He has not done a single race with us, so cool seeing a new driver in and leading the pack. Like I said, he might get moved. The final driver's coming around the final corner now. As we're about to pass start-finish line, we are green, race 2, Noobs R Us, season 6 in the AM split. Haral moving over to the racing line, taking a commanding lead there. Turai and Mike Cook side by side through turn 1. A little bit of shakiness in the back. We're going to continue to move this camera towards the back, see if anything comes of it. Looks like a lot of... So I spoke just a split second too soon. Cars spinning around and hitting each other. Cars driving backwards. That is unfortunate. We'll continue to move on. As we see, Haral already, like I said, commanding lead, 2 seconds up from P2. Turai trying to hold on to that P2 position now with Mike Cook right behind both of these Wreck-It Race Team drivers. They go down the back, the back straight now. Turai trying to pull away from Mike Cook down the straight. Mike Cook has Douglas Furnish right on his tail. Douglas going to move to the outside. Cook's going to stay on that defensive position. Halfway down the straight. Looks like Furnish is going to be stuck. Might be able to move to the inside. It looks like he's actually completed that overtake. But it looks like Cook is trying to go to the inside just a little bit tighter. Actually loses a position because of it. Trimble is now ahead. Now he's got to try and stay defensive for one further car with Woolham's right behind now too. Moving up, Furnish trying to get on the inside of Turai for that P2 position. Furnish going to stay on the outside and get a more optimal line to try and get a better run on this next straight so he can overtake into the penultimate corner. Not really that better of a run. He's about a half second down now at this point from Turai. Try and gain that ground back up as they go into lap 2. Haral running away. It's going to be a lonely race for him, I believe. 158.9 was his lap time. Second place, 201.4. A lot of racing from P2 and beyond. The only driver to be sub 2 minutes is Haral at this point. Moving towards the middle of the pack, we got Westerhoff trying to get an overtake done on Freiberger. They start into the first sector of the track. Got a 3-wide situation occurring. This could be dangerous. There's the bonk. Westerhoff off track, spinning, holding the brakes. That could have been dangerous. Don't force it. Don't force it. I know you're... Don't do it. Okay, there he goes. Safely rejoins. Back on track. Lost a lot of positions. That was extremely unfortunate. Moving up, back towards the middle of the pack, we got Wes Jones as he comes out of the first sector into the second sector of the track now. On the back straight, trying to gain a little bit of ground on Christopher Chan. Both similar cars, similar ability. So as long as he's closer in the draft, there's a chance he could get an overtake done. However, it doesn't look like he had the speed on the way out of the corner to actually gain any ground on him. He's going to stay right behind, and you can see Christopher Chan actually gaining ground on Dwyer ahead. All three of these drivers fighting for that 11th place position. And we can move back towards the back. It looks like Jones has Chanley side by side with him. Jones on the inside. Going to hold that position off from Chanley. Moving back forward again. Got Chan trying to get an overtake done on Dwyer. A lot of racing to be had between these drivers here in this top 10 positions. Moving up the track into 5th place, we got Willems trying to get an overtake done on Trimble. No overtake done in that lap. However, he's going to try and get a run down the front straight. Gaining a little bit of time, but not enough. He's going to take a peek on the inside. Not really enough to give a good send. We've got David in chat saying hello with his magic hands. Willems gaining that ground. Only 2/10 behind Trimble as they go into the S's and the weird corners before that back straight. I don't even know what to call this. Turn 3, 4, 5, and 6. Gonna be right on his bumper as he comes out of turn 6 and 7 down the back straight. He's gonna try and get as much draft as he can to see if he can tuck in. I really like Willems' livery. It's honestly one of my favorites. Spirit fingers. No extra time to be gained by Willems. Looks like he didn't get a good run out of the corner there. He's actually losing time down the straight regardless of the draft. To move all the way to the back here with Harold. Don't have to look too far. Looks like Guzoni. That's, I don't know how to say it. Lost a lot of time. A pretty cool looking livery. It's almost a cartoonish looking livery. It's kind of cool. We're on board with Centeno. He's got Hayes behind him and Figueroa behind him. You can see Figueroa going to the inside, actually, trying to complete an overtake. As soon as he gets out of the draft, though, he's going to lose that speed. You can see him tucking back in, get a little bit of draft. Go into turn 8, trying to gain that time back that he lost by coming out of the draft, which is unfortunate. But if he keeps his head down and knows that those drivers ahead are going to start fighting for position, he doesn't have a lot to worry about. Cicerone got a lot of damage to the front of his car. I believe he was one of the drivers that got hit early on. So we may see him jump into the pits and try and get a repair in. Christopher Chan and Dwyer still going at it. They cross the finish line, finishing out their 3rd lap into the 4th lap now. Trying to figure out what to eat. Go make a grilled cheese sandwich and some ramen, and take the ramen, put it on top of the grilled cheese sandwich. There you go. Chicharron. yeah, that's his name. These freaking pork rinds over here. No extra time gain. Looks like most of these drivers are starting to settle into their proper positions. Some of the drivers that got caught up in the back are trying to gain position. You see Bennett giving a send to Westerhoff in front. Westerhoff noticing that and more or less giving that position so he doesn't get hit. And Westerhoff's going to do everything he can to try and catch right back up, though. Bennett has 7 seconds. I'm sorry, that wasn't Westerhoff. That was Bramer. Westerhoff is 7 seconds ahead of Bennett. So Bramer noticing that. Now Bramer has Sanchez behind as they go down the straight. Bramer going to stay very narrow on the inside. I believe he's just giving these positions up. He doesn't want to be involved in an accident, I guess. But we'll see more confidence come out of him as time goes by. C.W. Wells on the inside on the way out of the back straight. You can see Ethan Grau in that old 90s Solo Cup car. You can see Grau's actually driving on a controller. You can see that glitchiness. Lizzie did not. Lizzie signed out early. We still have a lot of cars that are all pretty close with each other right now. Chan and Dwyer have been going at it for a couple of laps now. Chan doing everything he can to catch back up. It looks like we've got Schreiber in the pits, doing a proper pit stop there. A couple other drivers in the pits as well. So unfortunate. This is the Centeno. I don't know what happened with him. Kind of spreading out a little bit here. We can see Jones on the tail of Chanley as they're coming out of the first couple corners into that little mini straight before the S's. Jones is going to stay tucked in behind that Aston Martin. Almost rear-ending him through that corner, turn 4. This is one of the better places to overtake here. There's quick braking zones there. No stayings in the top 5. No, it doesn't look like it. Only staying right now we have is 7th place, Drew Freiberger. He's driving all alone right now. It looks like Jones has lost a lot of time coming out of that last corner. Glenn Jacobs gaining a little bit of time. You can see him following Chan, and Chan staying more or less middle of the track. He's going to move to the outside. Glenn's going to follow. Both these drivers going to maximize this corner. We saw some mistakes from Glenn during qualifying where he broke just a little bit too late. Doesn't look like he's making those mistakes during the race. He's got his head down for sure, staying right where he's at. Glenn has to think about Chanley behind him as well as trying to get an overtake done on Christopher Chan ahead. So a lot of thought going on. And you can see that gap behind Glenn actually being closed up by Chanley. So, and that's all Chan is hoping for is the battle. You can see them starting to get a little bit side by side. Chanley's going to try and hold that side by side position into the braking zone. There's going to be contact. No real fault there. Just a little bit of nudging. Robin's racing, so overtake done by Chanley. Glenn's now got to try and catch back up. We almost hit him, it looked like. See him whip out to the left. He's going to move to the left again and try and get an overtake done into turn 1. Grilled cheese with a pork roll. There you go. What I'm talking about. Got an overtake done. Looks like we had a driver off track and backwards. That was Wes Jones. I want to see what happened with him. Let's back that up a little bit. Wes Jones. Looks like he was more or less all alone into the first sector of the track. Yep, and just got himself sideways, putting himself backwards. So that's unfortunate for Mr. Jones. He's going to have to try and recover from that all the way down to 22nd place because we got a lot of time to gain. Moving back up the track, we got Jake Willems and Trumbull down. You can see down that back straight how defensive Trumbull is going to be. Going to move back towards the middle of the track there and then back onto the racing line to try and keep Willems behind, holding that 4th place position as they go into turn 8. Both these drivers really fast in that top 5 position for the AM split, doing 155.7. Overall doing 155.2, so they're not that far off from first place. Speaking of first place, while we thought that he was going to run away, he's only 2 seconds ahead from second, and he's got a couple back markers around, which is going to slow him down. So Two Ride does have a chance to catch up, get that first place position. Willems still trying to hold on to that, or not hold on to that, gain that 4th place position from Trumbull. As he comes through the final corner now, down the front straight. A little bit of time gained is not going to be enough to get an overtake done down the straight. Not enough draft, it looks like, to try and get an overtake done into the first corner, but we'll see how the rest of this first sector goes. Dude, I love Willems' livery. It reminds me of a Day to Remember CD cover, CD album. Like an old A Day to Remember. He's got a lot of run out on this out of turn 2 down the mid straight. I don't know what you want to call this part of the track, but lost a lot of that time into the corner though. Got to look to try and gain that back through these S's. Kind of narrow, gaining a little bit of time. Try and get on the gas as early as possible. Try and get a better run on this straight. Only 3/10 in trail. Not the view I wanted. I wanted this view. You can see down the straight, trying to stay in that draft. You can see kind of a little bit of left and right there from Trimble ahead. Not enough draft to be gained, so not enough time to be gained. Braking as late as possible and just enough to get that nose to turn in and then back on the throttle. You can use all of that run out there as long as you're within inside of those cones. Trimble making a mistake, going wide. Willems is going to be able to try and tuck his nose in here as they go through turn 9. Into turn 10, he's closed up the gap majorly into this sector, right on the tail of Trimble. I feel like this is Willems' strong part of the track. It's the first part that Willems ends up losing it, and then, or rather the middle of the track where Willems loses it and then gains it back near the end. Right on his tail through the final corner now. Losing a little bit of time on the way out. I think Trimble is just beating Willems on his throttle application, and that's where it's standing currently. Moving towards the middle of the pack, we got Dixon and Londar fighting. Looks like Dixon just completed an overtake on Londar in that GTR. A difficult car to drive. It's great seeing some AMs driving it. I believe he wasn't the only one. He is the only one on track right now, but wasn't before. No Makakos. What are you talking about? P2 is a Makaka and P16. See Londar getting overtaken by both Dixon and Jones here. Jones is going to complete this overtake as they go into turn 1. He's very narrow here. It's a dangerous place to be. Actually backs out. He doesn't want to cause any incident. But Londar is going to hold that 19th position. Moving up towards the front, Douglas Furnish in that 3rd place position, just now getting in the draft behind that Makaka, David. Down the back straight. It looks like Furnish has a little bit of damage to his hood there. I don't know if you could see that. It might have just been the livery. Yeah, I think it was just the livery, so you can disregard that. Losing a little bit of time in the braking zone through turn 8. Going to try and gain that time back. And he does. Staying just narrow enough now to be on within 2Rye's draft. You got the fancy overlay, you can't tell. So you telling me you can't see the Makaka logo for P2? Between where it says bronze and then the 0 positions gained? Get out of here, guy. Chanley and Chan racing for that 10th place position. Dwyer has kind of pulled away from these two drivers. And it looks like Glenn has fallen off from behind them. Oh, you're on your phone. Yeah, it's going to be hard to see it from there. Oh my goodness, what a send by Chanley. No contact. Now he's on the outside though, so Chan's going to have to try and hold that position on the outside. However, Chanley's probably got the better run here. That does give Glenn the ability to catch back up. You can see Chan being defensive here. And Chan going to stay on the outside line with Glenn Jacobs behind. You can't really go defensive. You don't want 2 defensive cars in the same place at the same time. It would have been an awkward moment. Oh, I understand. No worries, senor. We love you anyways. Thank you for being here. Chanley's falling off just a little bit. I'm going to move back towards the back here as we look at CW Wells. Try and gain this time on Mr. Bennett in that Ferrari down the front straight. He's going to move to the inside. Try and outbrake him into the corner. Looks like he does get alongside by the apex. A little bit of a bonk. And overtakes complete. Bennett did lose a little bit extra time from that bonk. I don't know if it's going to be worth penalizing. Glenn Jacobs, once again, still trying to catch up to Chanley ahead. While he's doing that, I also want to look at Douglas Furnish, who's closed the gap massively to 2Rye. 2Rye going really wide on turn 8, trying to gain as much time as he can, and it looks like he did gain enough to pull away. However, Douglas Furnish, through this corner right here, has just done so much better than 2Rye, and I feel like that's where he's gaining the most amount of his time. So Dougie, head on a swivel in chat, everybody. Good to see Mr. Swivels. Want to go back here. Chanley and Jacob side by side. So they go into turn 10 now. Jacobs getting that overtake done, more or less. Chanley tucking in. Looks like Jacobs went wide. He's going to forfeit that position right back. Tucks right back in behind Chanley. Unfortunate mistake. Can we get a lap with Dougie? We can get a lap with Dougie. Dougie Furnish. Oh, as we're saying that, he's getting into some bonks. Let's get this lap going here. I'm going to move just to the left here. I want to see him looking at that car. Dougie Fresh going to brake right at the 100 there. Over the rumbles. You want to be tight over the rumbles here as well. Looks like he just missed that. You need to stay hard to the right here and then get on the gas as early as you can. You can see him just earlier than 2Rye. And then once again, early on the throttle here. Don't want it to spin you too much. It's enough to the right that he's going to be able to get a good run to the left here and be in the draft down this straight. 2Rye's going to plant his car in the middle, moving to the right to stay in that defensive position. Furnish is going to move to the left to try and get this overtake completed. Down the front straight, looks like he's ahead of him, but yep, completely ahead. You can see him in that rear view camera back there. Overtake completed by Mr. Furnish. for that second place position. Furnish didn't qualify well. He's actually up 3 positions from his qualified position. So he's doing awesome right now. But all of this battling has actually moved these 2 drivers off of Harral. They're now 7 seconds off of first place. There's 11 minutes left in the race. So Harral's got to make a lot of mistakes, and Furnish has got to keep his head down for the rest of the race to catch up. I hear a car off to the right. That didn't sound like it was anything good. I don't know what that was. But what an overtake by Furnish. I'm glad we got to see that from his point of view. Beautiful green Aston. It's an ass ton of fun. He needs to keep his head on a swivel. He sure does. Moving towards the middle of the pack here, actually to the top 10. Drew Freiberger trying to catch up to Larry Foster ahead. Larry, we just chatted with him a little bit ago, and he's enjoying his Lexus down the straights. Nearly 300 kilometers an hour down the straights. I don't know what the Mustang's doing, but if it's similar to that Lexus, then they're going to be racing down this straight. Drew trying to cut in and gain as much time as he can to Larry ahead. I just want to point out really quick, Glenn Jacobs has passed Ryan Chanley again. Looks like into the first sector. Chanley's going to try and gain that time back. That's good to see. All that battling between Two Rye and Furnish has now left Two Rye with Trumbull right on his tail. So Trumbull's going to be fighting for that podium position tonight. Going nice and wide on the edge of that corner, you can see Willems following in trail there, trying to gain that time on Two Rye into turn 9. Great corner for trying to gain that time if you can get a little bit closer in. I'm going to move towards the middle of the pack. We got R.L. Brown, and Rob Stewart. Looks like Rob Stewart was able to get around him during the straight. However, Brown's going to look to that inside. Dangerous place to look. Into turn 9. Going to stay narrow. It's not going to be enough for him to gain that position back. He's going to continue to run away. Freiberger once again still trying to close that gap to Foster ahead. You can see Foster just around the corner there in that Lexus. Got a lot of time to gain. Trumbull right on Two Rye's tail. Two Rye's going to turn in just early enough to avoid a potential incident. It doesn't look like Trumbull missed braking point or anything. It was just a moment of maybe you should turn in a little bit early. See multiple cars in line here. Two Rye in third. Oh my goodness, what a send by Trimble. There's a spin. He's rejoining. Well, Willems by his side there. Goes off track again with Willems there. Still side by side with Willems. The car ahead, Two Rye. Looks like he's trying to get around a back marker. Now that back marker's in front of these two. He's just going to move him to the middle of the track and say, you're not going to squeeze me in. Trimble trying to gain that ground back up. He wants to catch right back up. He's got Willems to contend with now. Willems on the inside there. Trying to complete this overtake for that 4th place position. They go into turn 8. Side by side, Trimble's going to get that overtake done on the outside with that faster line. Willems now has to contend with, it looks like, Mike Cook behind. Unless that was a back marker, it's hard for me to tell. That was a back marker, so forgive me. Still, these three drivers fighting for that 3rd place position. Trimble holding on to it. Two Rye in the middle of it. This is not a position you want to be in, is in the middle of the pack. All of these drivers fighting, and Harral's just continuing to run away. Now 8 seconds ahead of that 2nd place position. Douglas Furnish just can't put down the same lap times as Harral. Nearly a whole second off. Two Rye gaining a little bit of time around the final corner. Is it going to be enough? He might take a peek into that inside line. The last 6 minutes of the race, everybody. He's not going to peek in. Just trying to outbrake and close up the gap a little bit ahead as they go into turn 1. Getting early on the gas here. You want to be as early as you can You can see just a little bit earlier, gaining that time. Now 2 seconds, 0.2 seconds behind, losing some time into the corner. Trimble going to try and hold that position. Rye tightening his turns. You can see him taking that different line from Trimble ahead, trying to gain any advantage he can. Similar cars, different driving ability. You can see that McLaren getting a little bit sloppy through those corners, which is going to give Trimble the ability to run away a little bit there. Moving to the back. Got Dwyer here trying to catch back up. Got a back marker ahead of him. Looks like we have a bunch of drivers moving down in position. Don't quite know what's going on there. All the way to the back here, we got Sanchez and Dixon fighting for that 24th place. I'm sorry, 23rd place position. Sanchez getting the better run on that Porsche. Gonna attempt the overtake. Sends it into the corner. Side by side, good clean racing. On the outside, completing the overtake on the outside. Is it going to happen? No, but he's got this right-hand corner, which is going to allow him to complete it. However, the switchback has been done by Dixon. A lot of good racing from these drivers. Now they've got to contend with that McLaren in the back, and I believe that McLaren is a back marker. If it's not a back marker, it could very well be an overtaking vehicle. The McLaren might be Hayes. Yes, it is Hayes, so it is a back marker. What a great bit of racing between those two drivers. Moving back up towards the front. Willems trying to catch up to Turai. Turai is now 2 seconds off of Trimble. Turai doing everything he can to just hold position and keep his points up, as he didn't get any points from last week. That will be his drop race, so this race will count towards podiums and where he's going to be. So 4th place is not a bad place to be, but he does have a couple drivers, Furnish, for example, who's ahead of him in points, that he wants to try and catch up to. A lot of drivers have fallen off here. Sanchez and Dixon still fighting for that 23rd position. Drew Freiberger just outside of his interval ahead of him, about 0.9 seconds from Mike Cook. Larry Foster trying to catch up to Wolves. Those are our racing drivers right now. I say that, but we got Glenn Jacobs jumping in the pits, losing a bunch of positions because of it. Westerhoff as well. I don't know if this is a drive-through or what this was. Both of those drivers in the pits. Yep, looks like Glenn's in doing either a stop and go or repairing. And Dixon as well. That is going to really hinder their positions. Turai and Foster. You can see Foster getting side by side there as they come out of turn 8 into turn 9. Foster trying to tuck his nose in as much as he can. Oh, you can see actually Foster's able to get alongside Turai. Turai is going to have the inside for this, but Foster may be able to outbrake him into the next corner. Easy place to hold that position. Turai is going to give him the place. He doesn't want to cause an incident of any sort, which is great. And Foster's going to hold that 5th place position. Turai moving into 6th. Foster is up 4 positions from where he started. In our last 3 minutes of the race, I quickly want to go through the positions gained here. It looks like one of our major gainers here is Ryan Chanley, up 9 positions from where they started. And then also Alex Londar up 11. And then our biggest loser right now is Glenn Jacobs, I believe. Let me make sure that's correct. Because of that pit stop, he's down 16 places from where he started. We do have a couple drivers that have, like Schreiber, for example. Looks like he's just stayed in the pits for entire race, which is unfortunate. So, Roderick Rudd, 2nd place in points right now, in 12th place, still trying to fight his way up. Roderick Rudd up 2 positions where he qualified, has a lot of positions to gain to try and get up there. Want to move back up into these podium positions again. Trimble had made a mistake, it looks like, and Willems is now on his tail. While we said that, I just want to point out that Turai dropped off. I don't know if he had a drive-through or what that was. Yeah, it looks like he had a drive-through. So he's down 14 positions because of that. That is extremely unfortunate. Willems trying to gain some extra time through turn 8. Going to look to the inside a little bit into turn 9 and stay a little bit more narrow. If you can do that, you can actually get alongside out of turn 9 because this is a really long sweeping corner. Offset into turn 9. A little bit of off track there from Trimble ahead. Hopefully it doesn't cause him to have a drive-through. We're getting the last minute of the race here, so we're going to see a lot of pushing to get these positions done. The leader is now coming through his final lap. Nobody around him, so he's going to be all alone. Maybe a car ahead of him in 25th position. You can see on that map over there. Willems and Trimble still fighting for this third-place position. Looks like no real time gain down the front straight. Willems is going to stay on that racing line, but he's also got Foster behind, who is gaining some time on him. He doesn't want to be overtaken as he's trying to also complete this overtake for that podium position. Willems gaining a little bit extra time through the first couple corners. Was going to look to the inside, but Trimble ahead was going to go defensive, so there's no reason to try and push your way in there. Just try and get the better entry into this next sector here. He's turning in a little bit more narrower. You can see that narrower turn, trying to get alongside wherever he can. Trying to get on the gas earlier here. These guys are in the same car, so they're going to have similar performance. So right now it's just who can get on the gas earlier, and it looks like Willems is able to do it. Trimble going to stay in the middle of the track. He's closing that time. Willems going to the inside. Foster following to the inside. Trimble's going to stay a little bit defensive. That's just enough. Now Foster's alongside and has nearly completed the overtake for that fourth place position, putting Willems back into fifth place. Foster fighting for the podium position now with Trimble just ahead. What an overtake. You can see him being really narrow through turn 9. Trying to close that gap just a little bit more. This is the final lap here, guys. First place position is overtaking one of the back markers and is coming through the final corners. Oh my goodness, Trimble off track. Trying to get right back on track and hold that position. Unfortunately, Foster's going to go ahead with Willems side by side now. Going into the final corner. Foster holding that third place position. With Trimble behind in fourth and Willems in fifth. Top 3 drivers, Harral, Furnish, and Foster. What a race, guys. Larry Foster up 6 positions from where he qualified, hitting that podium position. That is an awesome job. Chanley in 9th place, crossing the line now, up 10 position from where he started, with Rob Stewart as well behind 10 positions up. That was awesome. What a great race there. So have some other drivers coming across the finish line now. Wes Jones in 14th. He's crossing the line. C.W. Wells coming around the final corner. Down the back straight now. Wells had an early pit for damage, it looked like, unless I was thinking of a different AMG. Bennett crossing the line in 16th. Ethan Grau, the controller king currently. I painted that livery for him, by the way, just so you guys know. He wanted that solo cup livery. And Turaj and Sanchez all coming across the line. Close race between those guys. Chan crossing the line in 19th. Westerhoff in 22nd. It's kind of getting awkward now with all these drivers in the pit, so it's giving me weird positions. But final couple drivers coming across the line. Looks like we still have a battle right here between Bramer and Dixon for that 23rd position. Dixon just planning it on the apex, not going to be able to let Bramer overtake as they come across the line in 23rd and 24th respectively. Awesome race. That was awesome. All right. I'm going to go ahead and transition over to the pro split and see how they go. While we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and run a 2-minute ad so that we don't get interrupted next race. Take this time to go grab yourselves a drink. Get some water. Get some music going. And we'll see you guys in about 2 minutes. while we're doing the ad, those of you that are subbed, once again, I want to thank you for your subs. Prime subs right now, if you guys use them, helps you out, right? Don't have to deal with this ad stuff. We're going to quickly, in about a minute and a half, we'll jump back out on track. And we'll see these drivers starting their outlap. Danny King, let's go, Russell. It's your buddy. Hello, welcome. Get the screen cleared up so it looks proper. The drivers are starting their outlap now. We still got a little bit of time, about a minute, and we'll run through. It looks like we've got 19 drivers in the Pro-Am split. So that's good to see. How's everybody doing? Those of you that have just joined us, welcome to the stream. We're just now joining the Pro and Pro-Am split, so you're going to see platinums and silvers this time around. So this is fairly new. We base this off of our own BOP, I guess you could say, our own percentage. It doesn't have anything to do with LFM. It's just percentage based on our fastest driver. Those of you new here, just joining us, please feel free to hit that follow button. It is free to do. If you don't like us later on, you can always remove that. The car's back out on track for you guys so you can see everything. All right. Yeah, it looks like we are back. The ad should be completed for everybody. I'm going to start running down our driver list for the Pro and Pro-Am split. We are split up a little bit from our Pros and our Pro-Ams. They're kind of mixed in today. So right now, in P1, we got Zach Schneider. P2, Nico Menendez. P3, Kevin Rivera. P4, Darren Thomas. He is starting from the pits, it looks like, which is unfortunate for him. Patrick Dubois, our leader of the Pro-Ams currently, 5th place. 6th place is Nick Kanya. 7th, James Casaboon. I believe this is going to be his first race of the season. He had to get some new equipment. Austin Gerber in 8th. 9th is Tony Danzig. 10th will be Matt Russo. 11th, also starting from the pits, Devin Anthony. Looks like he might not be starting at all. Justin Griswold, 11th. And that will be our last place of our Pro split. Andrew Casey in the pits too. I don't know what's going on with him. Emmanuel Ramirez in 14th. Casey Swanseeger in 15th. Hugo the 13th in 16th. And Simon Tonkin leading up the rear in 17th. And it looks like we have a glitching car right now, which is unfortunate, of Joe Allenson in 18th. Good luck to the Pros and the Pro-Ams. Let's get this music off. We are about to start the race now as the drivers are coming through the final corners of the race. Zach Schneider in his, what is that, Uncrustables Mustang. And it says Coors on the side. I don't know what's going on with this car. It's wild. Side by side, Noah's Ark. Drivers coming through the final corner now. We've only got 18 drivers, a couple of them in the pits. Some of them looks like maybe disconnecting. Don't know what's going on here. As these drivers cross the start line, green light. This is race 2 of tonight's race. We're going to be watching the Pros and Pro-Ams for this race as they go into turn 1. Get all those Noobs R Us cars on track. Lots of stripes on those cars too. Zach Schneider holding that P1 position. Nico Menendez in trail. We're going to go to Helicam for just a moment, watching the middle of the pack. See some cones being thrown off, but no cars yet. Looks like one of the cars, Casey Swanseeger, was getting moved around. Was that? Or was that Matt Russo? It looks like it may have been Matt Russo. No real major bonks that I've seen so far. Casey Swanseeger in the back, Tonkin in the back. Yeah, doing good. No bonks. This is what we like to see. Nick Kanye's lost position here and there, but looks like he's going to hold on to that 6th place position and try and catch up to James ahead. He's outside of the draft from James ahead. Ramirez and that Record Race team GTR. You can see Kanye going to stay defensive. GTR is going to go to the outside. Russo following. A little bit of bonking going down the straight here as Kanye tries to get a little bit of track position. tucks in behind Ramirez as they go into turn 8. Lots of bumping. Not between cars, but between the track and the car. You see what I'm saying? Swanseger holding that outside line, losing a little bit of positions there. Cars ahead of him. Tony Danzig off track ahead. A lot of close racing to be done here. Up in the front, Schneider is now 2 seconds ahead, but Nico Menendez trying to hold off this position to Kevin Rivera behind. Nico in the Lamborghini, Kevin in the Ferrari. Patrick Dubois in 4th place, trying to just gain whatever position he can, gain time down, and hopefully these 2 drivers ahead will make a mistake. Kanya still in 7th. Very close racing between everybody here. Oh, there's some balking. There's some spinning. There's a little kerfuffle going on here in the middle of the pack here right now. Fighting for that 10th place position side by side between Gerber and Hugo. Hugo's going to try and get out of that and run away. The rest of the group in the back trying to gain positions over each other. A lot of racing going on. Darren Thomas and Chad, it's been fun. Won't be back until people learn common sense. Unfortunately, being that this is a rookie series, even though these are AMs and pro-AMs or pro-AMs and pros, there's still new people here, so you're going to see people without common sense, which is unfortunate. Only thing we can do is teach each other and learn better. Speaking of common sense, who was that we just saw driving off? Oh my goodness, was that Hugo? Hugo, what happened there? I want to back this up for just a moment. Top-down view. Oh, I see what happened. He had a 3-wide potential and moved because he was nervous. Ends up screwing himself up more than anything else. Well, Darren, it's unfortunate to see you be done. We love you regardless. Nick Kanya trying to gain that position again, back up to Ramirez. Both of these drivers just gained a position over James Cosaboon, so he's got to try and catch back up. Cosaboon in trail of Nick Kanya. They're going through the final corner now. No real time to be gained, it looks like, but Kanya is actually gaining some ground on Ramirez ahead in that Wreck-It Race Team GTR. I'm going to jump to the middle of the pack. Griswold, somebody who I haven't looked at yet tonight, trying to catch up to Allison. He comes around the final corner down the front straight. Allison holding that middle of the track. Going to stay fairly defensive because he knows Griswold has the run in that Mustang. Into turn 1, he's going to move back to the outside onto the racing line. No real time gained by Griswold. You can see Allison kind of just running away here. Not that big of a deal. Tony Danzig has gained over to these 2 drivers in the last lap, so they're just trying to catch back up if they can. Most of the drivers have kind of fallen off from each other here. We have some racing still yet to be had. Griswold and Allison are our 2 closest drivers, so we'll watch them. Oh, Griswold gets slippy. Losing a little bit of time. That's unfortunate because this is the area of the track where you don't want to lose any time. But luckily, he is in one of the fastest cars as far as straights goes, so he might be able to gain that time back. You can see him tucking in closer and closer, going to the inside, alongside now with Allison. Actually, it looks like an overtake might be completed before the turn into the next corner. Yep, overtake is completed. So maybe that slip helped him. Who knows? I don't know if Griswold had or Allison had a mess up as well. It looks like Allison's going to try and tuck back to the inside as they go in. A little bit of bonk spinning from Griswold. And now he's off track. Griswold going to pull off track there. We're going to move back up towards Kanya as he's still trying to gain that time on Ramirez through the final corners of the track. Going a little bit wider on that corner entry, trying to gain as much time as he can. Goes pretty wide there. I don't know if that's going to count as an off track for him. Beautiful BMW. Griswold has gone to the pits at this point. Don't know if he received any damage from that or if he's just given up. So it'd be unfortunate if he did. Kanya gaining that time on Ramirez side by side as they go down the mid straight into the S's. Dangerous place for an overtake. Both competent drivers, though. Kanya giving just a little bump to Ramirez. And now Ramirez has to deal with Kasabun right behind him, in between these two Noobs R Us drivers. See, Ramirez is going to try and gain that time back, but that BMW ahead is going to just pull away. He's got to worry about Kasabun and that Mustang behind gaining time on him now, too. I said he was going to pull away, but he's actually gained quite a lot on Kanya. Kanya's going to be as narrow as he can. Ramirez moving all the way to the outside. A little bit of bump. And see how much closer these drivers are comfortable being. It does end up biting them in the butt at some points, but they are much more comfortable being closer. Ramirez going really wide off track, losing both those positions. And now Kasabun ahead. He's going to be able to put his nose in behind Kanya and try and get an overtake done. While these drivers are teammates, it is unlikely that there's any sort of team orders, mostly because there's so many Noobs R Us drivers, so they are competing against each other. Andrew Casey near the back, also racing with Tonkin. Both these drivers new to this Porsche 992, not comfortable in these cars. So Tonkin feels like he has sandbagged himself, but can't really sandbag yourself if you're going to be in the back with the car, right? So Andrew getting alongside Tonkin as they go through turn 10 into turn 11. Andrew going to be on the outside for this corner. No overtake attempt, really, as they go through the penultimate corner into the final corner now. Andrew right on the tail of Tonkin. Trying to get draft down the straight now. Andrew's going to follow him down on the inside line. Is he going to move back to the outside? He should. There he goes. Tonkin's going to move more towards the middle. This is going to allow Andrew to have the more optimal line into this corner. However, Tonkin's going to have the better line into turn 2. Andrew's not able to get an overtake done. We'll come back to them in just a moment. While we're doing that, Kasabun is now running down Kanya in the straight. Kanya has been defensive every lap so far for the first 9 minutes of this race. Kasabun right on his tail. Is he going to move to the inside? It looks like he might be bump drafting. He's not. He's just trying to get that better line. He's hoping that Kanya will move to the inside. He actually backed off a little bit for just a moment. Kanya going wide. Kasabun staying narrow. No overtake done there. Ramirez in trail of them. Gerber trying to catch up to Matt Russo ahead. And McLaren's going to be on similar pace with that Porsche. The Porsche might be better through the corners, but not by much. Gerber gaining a little bit of time through these corners. Not enough to get him a position or even put him in a position to overtake. He comes through the final corners now. Down the back or the front straight. No time gain there. Moving up to Kasabun once again with Kanya. Is he going to look to the inside? He's not. He's just going to stay on the outside. He should be looking to try and do an overtake here soon because he is right on their tail as they go into the braking zone. But he never moves to the inside to attempt an overtake. And we'll move to the back again with Gerber and Russo. Gerber gaining that time on Russo through this first sector of the track. These tight corners. That Porsche should, in theory, be a little bit better through the corners, but once again, a lot of our drivers have moved to the Porsche for this season, and they're uncomfortable with it. So Gerber has been driving the Porsche with the esports team for a while, so he's a little bit more comfortable than most. Or not Gerber, Russo, I'm sorry. Russo has been driving with the esports team. A real-time gain. I'm going to move right back up to Kanya again. These two drivers continuing to get right on each other's tail down this straight. Not even poking their nose in. I bet you James is just hoping that Kanya will make a mistake. And having raced Kanya around this track, he doesn't usually make a mistake. With that said, he is wide and giving a good berth to Kasabun to complete an overtake through turn 9 and 10. However, Kanye is now in a position where he can do a switchback and try and get an overtake done on Kasaboon into this corner, as he has a better run into the corner. Does have a little bit of time on him now. It looks like they got Ramirez in trail as well. All this battling has allowed Ramirez to catch back up. Kasaboon just trying to run away at this point. Now, we've seen Kasaboon down the straights gain some time. With that said, it looks like he's going to be able to get just that with Kanye and Ramirez fighting. You can see Ramirez giving a little flash, or Kanye giving a little flash to Ramirez there. You know, I don't know if that was a goodbye flash to Kasaboon, or if that was a, I didn't expect to be overtaken by you. Here's a flash for no reason. I usually give goodbye flashes. That was something I would do. With that said, Ramirez staying defensive into turn 3. Not enough speed to get alongside for Kanye. He's just doing everything he can at this point. It looks like he's able to get alongside there through turn 5 into turn 6 and complete the overtake. Now he's going to be able to try and get a run down the back straight. Who's giving flashes? It was Kanye flashing Ramirez a little while ago. How do we get them? You have to pay $3.47 to Nick Kanye, and he'll flash you. Ramirez going to the outside here. Alongside again, he's got the better run down the straight. Kanye going to tuck right back in. We've been following these drivers for a couple of laps. Kasaboon has run away at this point. These guys are continuing to fight. You can see Gerber and Russo in the back there fighting for position as well. Side-by-side action as they go into turn 9. A little bit wide for that BMW. He's got to try and tighten his turn the rest of the way through. Gain a little bit extra speed. You can see him going to the right side to get that better entry into turn 10 as we discussed the lap before. Kanye is able to get his nose all the way in, be alongside again, and he's balked and now off track with some damage. Getting flipped around and continuing on. Ramirez will get away with some scratches on his car, but he's got Gerber to contend with now. That was extremely unfortunate. Let's move all the way to the back here with Joey Allenson. Joey Allenson has, looks like Devin Anthony ahead of him, and then Andrew Casey behind for that 13th position. So Devin Anthony, a very competent driver as well, in the back, which is unfortunate. But we may see some bonking almost by Andrew Casey onto Joe Allenson, but Andrew able to turn away just in time to avoid that incident. Going to try and close that gap right back up. He's not going to be able to do it. Might be out of the draft by the end of this straight. Andrew trying to gain as much time as he can. He's just going to stay as on track as he can on that racing line. I'm going to just keep your head down at this point. Joey Allenson gaining a little bit of time on Devin Anthony ahead. Not enough to get himself in the draft. I want to move right back up here to Ramirez. Looks like he was overtaken by Gerber in the first sector of the track. As we're in the second sector, you can see Gerber being really defensive. Ramirez going to move to the outside. Gerber's going to stay really narrow. He whips that GTR as if it's an F1 car, how quickly he moves to the outside line. All three of those drivers really wide there. That could be an off track for 2 cars at least through there. Ramirez trying to close that gap to Gerber ahead, but he's also got Russo behind to contend with. Doesn't really want to think about that. Just doesn't want to look in the rear view and see him, but he does. He's just there. Russo's going to try and put his nose in and try and get an overtake done by Ramirez. Russo is up 1 position from where he qualified, whereas Ramirez is up 6. So as far as pace goes, I believe Russo's got it over Ramirez, but we'll see what happens as we continue on. I'm going to look up here at Kevin Rivera fighting for that second place position. Zach Schneider has just run away. I just want to point that out. He's 8 seconds ahead of Rivera now in hot lap mode. 8 seconds ahead of Menendez, rather. Rivera trying to close that time on Menendez ahead. Not enough time to be gained. These drivers are just so planted and so alike as far as their times go that it's going to be so hard to gain any extra time. All you can do is hope that the driver ahead has made a mistake or the driver behind has made a mistake. So you can either gain that time on them or pull away. You can see some flashing of the lights by Kevin Rivera down the straight. He's probably just saying, hello, stream, because that's what he does. He'll probably text us here shortly saying, yeah, it's a hard race. That's something that Kevin likes to do, text and drive. Gained a little bit of time down the straight. Trying to get the better braking now. Both those drivers using the entire track to their advantage. Kevin just trying to stay a little bit more narrow through turn 9. You can see both these drivers so alike. Just on the racing line no matter what. Kevin closing that gap just a little bit more as we go into turn 10. Staying just enough, narrow enough to close it little by little. Menendez has all this pressure behind him for that second place position. Let's see what happens as they come through the final corner down the front straight now. Menendez pulling away just a little bit. Not going to really be enough of a place for Kevin to tuck his nose in and try and get an overtake done. Nearly all the other drivers at this point have fallen off from each other. Ramirez is still fighting with some of the other drivers in the middle of the pack. We'll come to them again shortly, and Andrew Casey as well in the back of the pack. Falling off again. We're going to move to Andrew Casey at this point. Andrew trying to get the overtake done on Joey Allenson. You can see him taking a widely different line, trying to just be a little bit more narrow into the entries and a little bit wide on the exits so that he can gain as much time as he can. You can see him right on the bumper of Joey Allenson. Joey going to be defensive into the final corner. That's going to allow Andrew to get a better run on the outside and be in an attacking position for the first corner. Going down the straight. Looks like Joey's got just enough pace to hold that nose ahead. However, Andrew is in a position to overtake. Joey's going to try and keep him in the center of the track. Andrew not able to outbrake him into the first corner. Joey's going to hold that for 13th place position. For now, Andrew going to poke his nose in. He's going to come right back out. He doesn't want to attempt the overtake. He knows how dangerous this corner can be. Joey's going to be on the offensive line into it. Let's see what happens as these drivers come around through the from the second sector. Or, I'm sorry, into the second sector of the track. Andrew just trying to get as much of a run as he can. McLaren is so quick down the straights. He needs to be on the gas earlier and harder than Joey and use all the draft that he can. You can see Andrew just staying right there in the draft. We're about halfway down the straight now, and he hasn't pulled off. He has gained some time, but he hasn't pulled off to attempt an overtake. He's going to poke his nose in now and come right back out, try and trip Joey up mentally. Doesn't look like he did anything to Joey. Joey's just planted, knows where he's at, knows the car behind him is going to stay behind him. And Andrew doing a little bit of slippage, understeer into turn 9. And then hits that apex and oversteers just a little bit. It just shows you how wonky that Porsche can be. I'm going to move back up to Kevin Rivera again. Actually, you know what? Let's move to the middle of the pack with Matt Russo and Ramirez, watching this battle continue to rage in the middle of the pack. Ramirez just trying to hold that 7th place position from Russo. You can see as they're going through the first sector of the track now, about to jump onto that long straight, how much more narrow Russo's trying to be and just gain that time so he can just be a little bit closer. However, that GTR is just known to be extremely quick down this back straight, so unless Russo has the better run on the way out, it's unlikely he's going to gain any time. You can see Ramirez is worried about that, so he moves that inside line and then moves back to the outside. Towards the middle because he knows that Russo is going to try and attempt an overtake. Not going to be enough. Mr. Griswold, thank you for the prime sub. Second month in a row. Thank you. We appreciate it. That'll keep you from seeing ads whenever we have them. However, we're not going to have an ad break for the rest of the stream. I was able to get it timed more or less correctly so that it didn't interfere with any of our races. I want to move up really quickly. Kevin Rivera once again. Dang, every time we watch him gain some time, he ends up losing it as we watch. We've got a lot of racing to be had yet. between these drivers. Kanya is now back in the race on Tony Danzig, his teammates in Noobs R Us, as they're coming through the last sector of the track now. Kanya alongside Tony Danzig, not enough to be able to outbrake him into the corner. You see a lot of dust being kicked up from Tony. That's going to let Kanya be able to get the inside line through the final corner. Tony's going to be on the outside with a little bit extra speed, side by side down the front straight. That Lexus is extremely fast. Kanye is going to move to the inside after being overtaken by Tony again. He's going to tuck right back in behind him. Not going to try and force the overtake attempt. So Kanye is showing, even after his incident from early on, that he is still here and he is still fighting for that top 9 positions. Tony Danzig up 1 position from his qualified. Nick Kanye is down 4. So the time difference is a little bit off. Darren, you are invisible to everyone on the track, says Andrew. Andrew should have a conversation with Darren behind closed doors on that and see what happens. Maybe there's a netcode issue for that. Still trying to gain that time as much as he can on Tony Danzig. That Lexus is one of the fastest cars down the straight, so it's going to be really hard to get anything, even with the draft, down this straight. Kanye's going to try and tuck in once again. Not much he can do there other than try and get a better turn in. Tony is known to be very defensive, and he will not let you pass without a fight, so a little bit of bonking. Actually, with that said, he's letting them pass without a fight as they go into turn 10. Kanye just getting around. He said, you know what? You're not going to let me pass. I'm just going to rear end you, and if you don't get out of my way. There it goes. He's already just running away at this point. Kanye now has to try and gain 10 seconds to catch up to Russo and Ramirez, who are still fighting for that 7th place position. Kevin Rivera has fallen off just enough to be outside of the draft from Nico Menendez. He's in and out of it very, very slightly here and there. Not a lot that he can do. Russo still doing everything he can. I want to just point out, it looks like I'm just going between these 3 drivers, which I more or less am. They're the only drivers on track that are close to each other. Right now, we got Zach Schneider alone on track, 10 seconds ahead of 2nd place. Second, Nico Menendez does have Kevin Rivera 1.1 seconds behind. Patrick Dubois in 4th. James Casaboon in 5th. Austin Gerber in 6th. And then Ramirez is our next battle with Russo behind. You can see Russo gaining a little bit of time. Ramirez staying defensive. He's going to move to the outside line quickly, as we've seen him do these last couple of laps. He doesn't really want to move that far, though. If he's on the inside and Russo's on the inside, they're both on the same line, right? So once Russo moves to the outside, he can move more towards that center line and get a better turn in. Looks like it's going to send him really wide. Russo's going to be able to get that overtake done. What an overtake. I want to rewatch that, but from Helicam view, and so we can see exactly what happened here. You can see Russo move to the outside. Ramirez move a little bit, but he misses his braking because of it. But Russo's able to just plant it and go. What a clean overtake. Ramirez played too much of a mind game on himself for that. With that said, we had an incident with Menendez, it looks like. I'm going to back this up 15 seconds really quickly and see what happened here. Menendez just hitting the curb and spinning. Unfortunate. Tries to get back on track. A little bit of spinning because of it. Loses another position, as you can see, to Dubois ahead. So Menendez is now down in 4th place position. Oh, that's unfortunate for him. But Kevin is now up in 2nd. 12-second gap to that 1st place position. All other drivers on track have relaxed and have kind of just closed in on themselves here. Menendez has got to fight for that 3rd place. We'll see how Menendez does as he tries to catch up to Dubois. As far as lap times goes, it looks like they're nearly on pace with each other. Menendez, best lap, 54 flat. Patrick Dubois, 54.2. Ramirez trying to catch back up to Russo. Russo just trying to run away as they come through this 1st sector into the 2nd sector of the track now onto the back straight. Yep, looks like no extra time to be gained, but these are the only drivers that are even remotely close to each other. A little bit of time, not a lot. You can see Russo ahead, just staying in the center of the track to try and keep him keep Ramirez behind in a line that he doesn't want to drive on. They both move to the optimal line right before the braking zone, both braking where they're supposed to. It looks like Ramirez is a little bit wide again on the exit. That could force him to have to do a drive-through if he does it too many times and gain time on it. The game will penalize him for that. Trying to gain a little bit extra time again as he's tucking into that tail of Russo ahead. These guys have been battling the entire race. We're in the last 3 minutes of the race, everybody, and we're looking at Ramirez has been fighting people the entire time, so he must be exhausted at this point. Watch these drivers as they come through. Final corner here. We'll move back to Menendez. And we're going to look up here at Menendez here. Just a moment. Anytime gained from Ramirez as they go into turn 1. He is gaining some time. Menendez ahead is also gaining time to Patrick Dubois ahead as they're coming through the S's into the second sector of the track. Menendez's fastest time is a 54 flat. Dubois is a 54.2. So these guys are nearly on pace with each other as well. It's great to see these guys continuing to race and battle for this podium position. Unfortunately for Menendez, it means that he's got to try and catch back up and get back onto the podium position, whereas he qualified in third. So Menendez gaining a little bit of time down the back straight. It's not really enough for him to move to the inside. He's just going to try and gain extra time into the braking zone through turn 8 and into the braking zone of turn 9 as well. If he stays narrow, he may be able to gain a little bit extra time. He doesn't want to stay too narrow to where he doesn't get a good run on the exit. See him turning in earlier here, see what I'm saying? And he's now just that much closer to Dubois ahead. I think Schneider's eating an Uncrustable and driving with one hand up in front. Probably. Schneider's probably taken a nap already. Final lap for the lead driver. Menendez is getting too close, backing out from Dubois. He didn't want to rear end him there. I do feel bad for some of these faster drivers that end up alone up in the front. Schneider, for example, he's almost always alone. When we do the combined races, however, he does have a lot of people he's got to try and work his way through, which adds another element. So he's extremely consistent. You're absolutely right about that. Menendez still working his way back. This is the final lap, everybody, so we may see a send by one of these drivers at some point. Ramirez has got to try and catch back up, and Menendez has got to try and catch up. Both of these drivers on pace with the driver ahead of them, which is really screwing with them. I just want to point out, guys, if you look at these last lap times, you can see on the left side, they're all 53 through 57. So if you want to compare that to the fast drivers of the AM split, you can definitely see the difference. I mean, we do have drivers in the back of this split fighting for 13th, 14th place, doing 56s and stuff. They're still well ahead of a lot of those AM drivers, and that's why they are split off into their own split. Menendez still trying to gain that time. Dubois not really worried about it. Ramirez trying to gain time down the back straight as well. He is gaining that time. It means Russo may have to tuck to that inside. If he doesn't, Ramirez is going to be on the offensive line. He is now. Wonder if Russo is going to more or less give him that, or hope that he does the same mistake as before and goes wide. It doesn't look like he's going to. So he's going to hold that 7th place position from Russo ahead. I'm going to move up to Menendez as we watch them finish out their race as well. First place driver, Schneider. You can see Menendez getting that podium position back just for a short period of time down the back straight, or the front straight now. Accidentally bonking into Dubois, losing it again. Dubois is going to get that 3rd place position. Top 3 drivers, Zach Schneider, Kevin Rivera, Patrick Dubois. What a race for the finish line there between those two. Menendez getting 4th. Kasabun in 5th. Gerber in 6th. Ramirez and Russo racing it out to the finish as well for 7th and 8th, respectively. Nick Kanya finishing in a low 9th place position after all of that, which was unfortunate. Tony Danzig, 10th. Hugo, the 13th and 11th. Devin Anthony in 12th. Joey Allenson going extremely wide through this corner. He needs to get back on track, and hopefully he doesn't get a penalty for that. The penalty at this point will put him in last of drivers out on track. Do have a lot of drivers still in the pits, guys. What you're seeing on screen with Darren Thomas, 30 minutes in the pits. He did not race, so he is not our winner. He had connection issues of some sort, looks like. Joey Allenson coming through the final corners now. We should be getting our podium drivers jumping in the standby room here shortly. Anybody from the AM split, if you got a podium, feel free to join in standby as well. Joey Allenson crossing the line in 13th. Casey Swanseeger crossing in 14th. That will be our pro AM and pro splits. What a great race. It was a lot of racing from those drivers ahead. But we will quit out there. We'll put some music back on. We'll get some chatter going on from these top drivers. So I'm going to go ahead and bring them in. These are our pro drivers. Got our pro drivers in voice with us. I want to talk to Zach really quick. Zach, you came in first, second race. That's the one that we saw. I'm assuming you probably came in first during the first race. We had a question in chat. Were you eating Uncrustables while you were racing?
No, I wasn't.
You weren't.
But
So
it was a meme last week that I was like eating a sandwich and drinking water down the straight. So we got Uncrustables and Coors Light on the car because Coors Light is basically water, you know. So
pretty much. With that said, Zach, you were alone for a lot of the race. Next week, it's likely that we're going to combine. We did have 33 AMs, so we might not. If we combine up servers, are you worried about back markers and possibly contending actually for a position this time around?
always, but it'll be fun. Yeah,
Well,
it'll be good.
It's great to see you in front and representing that front position. Darren Thomas, I guess, had an issue with connection. He was racing around you guys. At least this is what my understanding is. He was racing around you guys, and you guys didn't see him at all. So, that's unfortunate.
He was not in the server at all for us on race 2.
Oh, that sucks. I guess he didn't start up at all. I don't know if he was having an issue with qualifying or what, but let's move on to Nico. Actually, let's move on to Kevin. Kevin, you came in second this time around, also more or less alone near the end of that race, but you were trying to catch up to Nico ahead before his incident. How was your first race? Did you get into any battles during that?
My first race was pretty clean, I would say. It was I'm lying, Jeremy, I'm lying. So let me tell you what happened in the first race. I got taken out in lap 2. Okay. I went to the back.
Yeah.
I gotta apologize to Griswold, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I give him a little tap. He went sideways. He didn't lose positions or nothing, but you know. But besides that, it was very uneventful, you know. Just trying to make my way back. Some people would say I wrecked Tony.
Some people would say that, huh? Not you. You wouldn't say that.
I would blame Netco for that. But in case it was me, I apologize to Tony. I felt bad for it. I give him a little tap on the rear trying to pass him. He was actually going for third for podium for his class, and I ruined it for him. So I apologize for him. And then the second race, it was fun trying to catch up to Nico. You know, I don't know if you caught it on stream when we were too wide into the, I think it was the first or second lap after the long straight. That was fun.
You guys were right on each other's heels multiple times, and I wanted to see an overtake attempt, and it just never came, unfortunately, near the middle of the race, and Nico just hit the curb and spun out. Speaking of Nico, how are you feeling in that second race and fighting for third place and almost having it again, and then finally getting it back?
Well, first race was very uneventful. Zach went out the same as this one, and then I just stayed in second, and Darren disappeared in the middle of the race, and I just kept second place for the entirety of it, very alone. And then the second race was very, very fun. I mean, Kevin, he was driving fast. I was really trying to stay ahead. And then, I just got Lambo'd. I guess.
Well,
I'm
hopefully
still trying to get up to speed with the car.
you're doing a great job learning in the Lambo. As you've seen, most of our drivers have moved to the Porsche for this season, and we're all complaining about it. So, hopefully, the Lambo is treating you a little bit nicer than us. But it's great to see you guys continuing to hit those top 3 positions. I don't know if next week we're going to be combined. Once again, if we are, you guys are going to have to
It's
work
gonna
your
be
way through
fun.
the AMs. I will say, while the AMs did have some good spins and crashes and bonks, when it came to mid-race racing, they were cleaner than the pros. So you guys, not you guys in particular, but the pros and pro-ams need to start showing why they're pros and pro-ams. Great to
Yeah.
have you guys in here.
I'm looking forward to Misano. Also, by the way, I wanna apologize to Darren. He was very angry in chat. Yeah, he disappeared in the middle of the first race, and then he never came back for the second. He just didn't start it, and yeah, I just started the race where the game told me to, and I guess I hit him.
Well,
But I don't know. I just saw none of that.
hopefully he will see some private messages or even messages that are more public and see that and understand and come back for next week, because he was pretty upset in chat. So thank you, pros,
Yeah, I
for
can
being here.
understand.
I'm gonna pull in Douglas Furnish to join.
Thank you for
from
the stream.
AM Split. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. We have Douglas Furnish from the AM Split. I'm gonna pull in Adam Turai. Is that how I say that? I think it is.
Yeah, that's right.
Turai and Russell Harral. I'm gonna pull you guys in. You guys are our AM podium drivers. Russell Harral, you're brand new here, are you not?
Yep.
Okay. So welcome, number 1. 2, with that said, you had a huge gap, at least initially, lost it a little bit during race 1, and then had Turai right behind you. We had already discussed the possibility of moving Turai up to the Pro-Am split. How would you feel about moving to that too within your first race
yeah.
here?
Of course. Yeah, this was just like my first clean race, so
Wow.
Oh, welcome.
the last Silverstone was my first like sim grid race on ACC.
Okay, gotcha. So
I'll move up as fast as you guys let me. That sounds
Okay.
awesome.
the goal is always to move up and get up in that top split. So it's great seeing
Yeah.
you up there, a new name being way up in the front. How was your second race, Mr. Harral?
Oh, it was great. Pretty
Good.
similar to the first.
Good.
Max Verstappen.
Speaking of Max Verstappen, we're going to talk to our local Max Verstappen, Adam Turai. Adam, you kind of got screwed by internet issues and whatnot last week. This week, you were actually able to compete. How were your races, and how are you feeling about point standings coming up?
So the first race was starting really well. And then halfway through I realized, I didn't put enough fuel in. Because the estimate was like the predicted lap fuel was incorrect. So went to extreme fuel saving, had to pit because I didn't have enough fuel. So that race didn't go so well. But the second race, off to a good start, better start than last time because Mike was not on my butt right after T1, and kind of just pulled away, try to stay consistent, especially with Furnish here, or Douglas was catching up really fast near the end. I got caught behind a lapped car, which dropped me, which lost me 2 seconds. But overall, just a lot of hot lapping and bring it home for victory or second.
Well, second's still a victory in my book. I rarely get those, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Douglas Furnish, we talked to you prior to the start of the race. You ended up qualifying in top 10-ish and then finishing in the podium position for the first race. That was an awesome gain of positions. It's great to see. Did you just have an issue during qualifying, or did you just somehow gain more time during the race? What happened with you?
A little of both. There was I just kind of got stuck in between some people during quali and couldn't find enough of a gap to put in a good pace until later on. So I think I ended up in 5th or 6th and then was able to come back to 2nd. So I had a good
You
first
were
race.
moving.
Second race,
Flying.
I had a horrible start. I wasn't paying attention and started in 2nd, and then had to make my way back through the pack a little bit. And I just too much of a gap between Toure and couldn't catch him in time. I'd have had another 2 or 3 laps maybe, but
Well, it's great to see you continuing for the podium positions as well. with that said, all three of you are in contention to move up into the Pro-Am split. So we'd like to see you in that split. With that said, that'll move you to fighting for mid pack or bottom for Pro-Am. So you're going from top to bottom, and it's going to be a whole different ballgame when you get over there. Douglas Furnish has been there at least once, so he knows. But yeah, we're happy to see how y'all did. How y'all do.
Actually, fighting for position is more fun than hot lapping the entire race. The second race,
Absolutely.
I did not fight a single person the entire race except the back markers.
Well, with that said, we are getting some chatter in stream. Pro Lobby was fast. They're correct about that. Pro Lobby was split up a lot. There was a lot more racing to be had in the AM split. The Pro Lobby, it was back and forth between two battles. So you guys showed a lot more fighting to get to your positions than they did. And with more drivers on track, overall, I believe was a little bit cleaner, at least during your first race compared to their second race. I don't know how their first race went, etc., and how your second race went, but you may or may not be fighting for position over there. Who knows? So you guys did great tonight. Thank you all for joining me in the booth tonight, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank
See
you
you guys.
Sure, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. See ya.
With that said, we're going to close off the stream with a raid, and we're going to raid our usual local celebrity, Jake Wells. We all love Jake Wells. Make sure you guys go over there. Give him a follow if you haven't. I don't know why you haven't. Give him a hello. Tell him that we love him from Noobs Are Us, and join in on the raid. Thank you for being here tonight. We'll see you guys next Tuesday at the same time.
Yes, sir.
All right.